My name is Ryan Kelly. I'm a quality assurance engineer with a CQI certification, and I'm here to tell you about how QA data helps sell your product for you. So, the answer is marketing. And how do I know what to market? So, let's say you have an item, say you sell pencils for a company called Pencils, 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 and you're wondering how can doing QA activities help sell my product naturally? So in marketing, you could go through and maybe you have a specific pitch that you want to give. So let's say this is done through benchmarking. So you have an item, you have an assortment of pencils. You say you have number two, you have drawing. It kind of depends also on who your market is. Are you selling to schools? Are you selling to artists? Are you trying to be eco-friendly? There are a whole bunch of different marketing avenues you could go down, and each one will have a specific QA benchmark that they could hit. So a lot of this really helps with just having standards in place for your products already. So if you benchmark your items, whether this is knowledge for your factories, for your production lines, for your customers, you need to have expectations that your product needs to meet. And if these expectations are met and they're met correctly, then you can use that data as leverage on how to market your item properly. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're selling pencils and they have a really strong graphite. So let's say you use that to sell to artists and you have very specific sayings that your shading can be better, your shading can be improved with this stronger graphite. Maybe it's just a stronger break resistance and you're selling specifically to schools. Maybe it's affordability that you're selling to schools and students. You can go through and in benchmarking data that you already have that you use to vet your items, you can go through and create that into a narrative where you are marketing your product compared to other competitors as well. Because during benchmarking, you're not only testing your product, you're testing an assortment of other products in the market too. So if you're testing other artist pencils and you're going through and you're saying, hey, ours lasts 20% longer because the lead is more dense. How can you go through and not only test that, verify that, put it on packaging, and then you can go through and market it and sell it? So this can be a lot of different things. Again, you can go the eco-friendly route. You could say our wood is recycled around the pencil and then target other specific customers. But again, it all depends on where you're marketing. But if you're starting from the beginning and let's say you're at the very beginning of pencils, 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 you're getting your first product and it's just one singular item. You want to go through, you want to test that, you want to benchmark it compared to where the rest of the competition is. And then maybe without even making changes, you see that your item is already a higher break resistance. Then you could go through and you could specifically target those schools, specifically target those students that you want to go through. And then that can lead you onto a path of saying, hey, we already vetted this item. We know it's better in this area than the competitors. We want to market it to these specific people too. So that's a way you can leverage your QA data that you're already doing to just vet a product at the beginning of the process to market that as an item that will sell itself. So I'll pause there. If you find this information valuable, please like and subscribe. If you have specific QA questions, please comment them down below. If you need any specific help setting up these QA standards for yourself or for your company, go through, please reach out to me. I do consulting as well for QA, and the first consult is free. So let's say you got your testing results, you got it back from the manufacturer. What do? You want to go through, you want to look at each of those items, look at those test lines. So maybe you set it up for break strength, maybe you set it up for yield strength, maybe you wanted to do a graphite testing on the composition of each of it. Maybe it's the composition of the wood. You want to go through, see what your results are, see what the competitor results are, see where your advantage is, see where your disadvantage is too, because this is where the real QA attributes come in. Are you going through, are you seeing that there's this huge gap between you and your competitor on break strength? Maybe you're not going specifically for schools, maybe you're going to artists, maybe you see that you're in the industry, you are below everybody else on break strength. That can lead to future customer complaints there's a good reason why most items are already at a specific break strength, especially if you're combating specific items that are affordable. If you're looking at the lowest price point item and they've been in the market selling number two pencils to students in schools for years, and now you're going through and your break strength is half of theirs, you might want to go through and up to at least where their standards are, because if you come through at a lower price point and you're selling to artists and your pencils are snapping left and right, then you're going to get a lot of negative reviews coming from these customers, a lot of negative customer reactions to each of these, which leads to a negative customer experience. So you want to go through and vet each of these items and look at where your advantages are, look where the disadvantages are too, and then go through and make sure you have different standards. Because if, let's say, a factory is selling these to you and you're selling it to maybe you're a private brand, you're going through and you're putting it into your store. Let's say this factory is selling to you. You want to come through and make sure that they're not selling you a poor product, and they might just be throwing pencils off the line and giving them to you. You want to look for where you might have that disadvantage already, and you want to make sure that maybe these standards are set in place before you negotiate that contract with them, so you can baseline standards throughout the whole production process. And this is how you can also create a story through your item too. So let's say you, again, were pencils, you're coming through, very first pencil in the market. Maybe you want to go through and create a story about how your item has that higher breaks, or has that eco-friendly recycled wood. Maybe you already have a pencil in the market, you're going to another factory, or the factory's pitching you a new item, and it already has that increased break strength. What you can do is you could set up tier levels for your products. Maybe you have your item that's already in stores here, and then that new item up top. And then you could go through and say, hey, we have 30% higher break strength on our new item. You can create your own step-up story as you go through with maybe you have your baseline is just the affordable, you're selling to the schools. You have a higher break strength item for that MPP, and then you have a recycled item, recycled wood, with the higher break strength too, that you're selling at another price point. So you can go through certain tiers as well this entire time that your product is selling. So as you do this, you can go through and create each product, put this on your packaging, put this on your online product detail pages. Make sure that the customer knows that your item, your pencil, is better than the competition. That way they could pick it up. They look at the boxes, they look at the packaging, they look at the online PDP, and they say, I can see the value in this item, and your product will sell itself. This is how you can tell the story online without needing a salesperson to go into each store, without a salesperson to sell each item. You can go through, have that packaging, have that claim already written out, so your product can sell itself. So this can also, as I mentioned earlier, not only help marketing, but prevent future QA issues. If you see that low break strength, if you see a vulnerability in your item that could cause future manufacturing problems down the line, you can catch that now and save you a lot of money. If you want to see how much each of those products and problems can cost you and save you in the long runs with having the right QA measures, check out my video, Cost of Quality. It'll go through and detail how much money and how much percentage you can save on your margins and bottom lines for each time you have a QA issue. So that's all I have for today. That's how QA data can help sell your product for you. And if you found this information valuable, please like and subscribe. If you have specific QA questions, please drop them down below. I could help answer them in another video. If you need help setting up any QA standards or handling any QA fire drills, I offer consulting with the first meeting free. Let me know if I could help. Have a good one.